All right, anti-vax, anti-mask protesters at the Capitol. Let's go.
Thousands of people have taken to the steps of the California State Capitol in protest of the statewide vaccine mandate for kids. Now, we are joined live right now by Kim.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't call that thousands. I would call that maybe 1,000. Anyway, let's go.
She is a grandparent of 8 grandkids across the state of California. Right. You're coming from Southern California, Ventura County.
Yes.
Tell us what brings you all the way up here today.
I think you just get to a point to where you have to stand up. You have to stand up. You can't wait for everybody else to be the one to do it. You have to take the chances and step up and stand for what you believe in. That's what we're going to do.
And so, were your grandkids vaccinated with the other vaccines, like mumps, rubella, things like
Yes,
that?
when they were young, they were vaccinated with the proven, effective, safe vaccines. This is not. This is totally different.
This is totally different. Okay. So there is some kind of significant difference, she's saying, between the COVID-19 vaccines and measles, mumps, rubella vaccine and other vaccines that are, by the way, mandated in order for kids to go to school. So there is no significant difference, let's just say, between the COVID vaccines and any of these other vaccines. And it's not really this person's, realm of expertise, I think, to be talking about stuff like that, especially on the news. The news is just giving a platform for people who don't have any medical training or virology degrees or epidemiology degrees or public health degrees to just sit here and make baseless, factually untrue claims, and they wonder why there's so much disinformation out there. Well, it seems like they're the ones promulgating the disinformation, and this is really case in point.
Different. And I've known of lots of people in my past who did not choose to have their children vaccinated for those things, and there was no repercussions from that. And so that's what we want now. We want the choice. We want the choice to be able to vaccinate our kids or not.
Okay, so this is actually a break from the status quo in the sense of, okay, so measles, mumps, and rubella and other things that are required for children to go to school, those things should no longer be mandated. So that would be a significant shift, right? I think we already know that those are safe and effective, by her own admission even. So why would we want to take a step backwards and make those optional when we know that the reason why we've very well almost eradicated those diseases is because of widespread vaccination campaigns and mandates in the past. They were fine, her relatives, because the population achieved some degree of herd immunity, thanks in large part, I would think, and I wasn't around at that time, but I think based on the mandate. So it is the mandate that drives the vaccination rate and the essentially getting to a point where there is herd immunity, and that's really what's required, in order to really do something about the COVID virus.
And when you heard that this mandate was going to be a thing when it first came out, what was going through your mind? You have 8 grandkids, so right. What was going through your mind when he first announced it? I'm
shocked. I just can't believe that they're actually trying to force people to do this. It's our body, our choice. We should be able to make this choice for ourselves and for our kids. And it's a right that they're taking away, and then it'll be something else, and then it'll be something else until we have no more left.
Yeah, they'll be taking it away like they're taking abortion rights away. Is that a medical freedom that she's going to pull her grandkids out of school and protest for? Something tells me no. So that's hypocritical, right? You claim to support medical freedom, but you're not supportive of a woman's right to choose and make reproductive decisions about her own body. So it's disingenuous, to say the least, to say that this is an issue of medical freedom. On the subject of medical freedom, nobody is being jabbed forcefully against their will by the government, right? That's just not a scenario that's happening. In fact, quite the opposite. I've likened not getting the shot, being unvaccinated, and then going and doing high risk activities. I've likened that to drunk driving, right? Because it's something where, you know, you're responsible ultimately for spreading, you know, something that has the potential to kill somebody. And there are precautions in place that, you know, you can take, but you're choosing not to do that. You know, you're willfully, in a sense, inflicting, you know, a potential for harm on people. It's basically like wearing seatbelt, you know, in the car, right? The seatbelt may not prevent all fatalities, but it sure will help, right? So you might as well wear it. And you there really aren't very many good excuses not to wear it, just like there really aren't very many good excuses not to get vaccinated. And so, you know, like I was getting ready to say, nobody's rights are being fundamentally infringed, even with the vaccine mandate, right? Nobody is being inoculated against their will in this country. You still have every right to refuse to get vaccinated. You just don't have the right to for your kids to attend school. I mean, if they're supposing there is a mandate in place and you haven't vaccinated your children, you know, just like if you don't vaccinate them for other diseases that are required, you won't be able to enroll them in school even before all of the COVID stuff happened. You know, and again, unless there's a medical or religious exemption. So, you know, you have every right to be irresponsible. You just don't have the right, you know, to be employed at a particular location and continue to be irresponsible, I think is what it boils down to. So this is an aspect where, you know, companies are free to essentially do whatever they need to do, you know, in their best judgment to keep people safe. Same thing with school districts, and vaccination is, you know, a big part of that. So that's what's ultimately going to drive, you know, wider acceptance and higher vaccination rates, which is what we need to get over this viral pandemic, which has changed, you know, our lives completely, and, you know, 700,000 plus people dead. It's something that we really need to get under control as soon as possible.
And were the grandkids pulled out of school today
Yes,
in part of the
Yes,
protest?
they were. Yes. I don't believe that all of them were taken out, but I believe that the majority are staying home. Yeah.
Why was that important for you to take them out of class today?
I think it's a good lesson for them. They need to learn what the things that they can use to cause change, and they just need to appreciate their freedom. That's the whole thing for me. I have these grandkids. I grew up in a much freer world than we have now, and I want them to experience that as well.
And for you personally, what is it like being a part of this today?
It's amazing. I have never done anything like this before, ever, and I'm thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled with the turnout. It just may be something that I do a lot more of. I'm retired. I have the time. I can do this, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stand up.
Any other key messages that you want to let the community, our lawmakers, and maybe those top school officials, any messages you want them to know?
It's not about being anti-vax or pro-vax or anything like that. It's about the medical freedom. You cannot take the medical freedom away from us. It's a God-given right, and that's what I think that people need to understand. It's not pro and con-vax. It's all about medical freedom, and you can't let it.
Again, it's not about freedom. Nobody is jabbing a needle into your arm against your will. You have every right not to be vaccinated, but corporations have every right not to employ you if you continue to do that, and schools have every right to not have your kids come to school if you want to be irresponsible in that way. There are alternatives, unfortunately, for these people to continue with their bad behavior. I'm sure there's anti-vax charter, right-wing charter schools and stuff like that that will allow your kids to go around unmasked and unvaccinated, and you can go ahead and, suffer those consequences. You have the freedom to do so. So this, again, is a canard. It's just another aspect, another front that the right wing has opened up in the culture war, and it has resulted in the deaths of, almost 1 million American people, right? So they have that blood on their hands. Most recently, Colin Powell. So hope they need to own that and really take responsibility for that and be held accountable for the misinformation that they're continuing to promulgate that is resulting in, these hordes of unmasked super spreaders being allowed to continue deluding people and ultimately stymieing the recovery of this country.
Go.
Thank you so much, Kim, for your time. You're amazing. I appreciate it, and I'll let you get back to it.
Yeah, you're amazing, hun. No, I mean, this is the media pretending that there is a debate to be had, as though this person, anything that she has said negates, the work of researchers, virologists, epidemiologists, public health experts, and so on. There are no two sides to this issue. Wearing a mask and getting vaccinated, that is, basically the best and only strategy to, get us out of this pandemic, in addition to, social distancing and other precautionary measures. So yeah, that's really what it boils down to. There is no debate to be had. The media is continuing to do a disservice to this country by equating these Looney Tunes people with the fine folks on the other side who are listening to the science and that sort of thing. That's not to say that people like Fauci and other talking heads and so-called experts are so-called are all that great either. But yeah, again, there is not a debate to be had here. The media needs to stop both sidesing the issue. It's really just, science versus disinformation. And, this is, it's just sensationalist garbage. All right, enough of a video. Thank you very much. Have a great day and such.